Okay guys, welcome to Afternoon Art Club for 4th through 6th grade. Today we're going to be finishing up our radial folded paper relief sculptures, and we're going to look at those again today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what our goals were last week, just to remind you, to refresh everybody's memories, and then we are going to finish up this project today. So today will be the final November session. We will be completing our radial sculpture designs, our folded paper radial sculpture designs this week. And then next week we'll be beginning a brand new project, something completely new. And that will be our last project of the Afternoon Art Club session for October, November, and December. So let's get started. Last week we began by, I talked to you a little bit about these folded paper radial sculptures. We looked at some examples of folded paper, or not folded paper, of radial designs, and I showed you an example from the Florence County Museum's collection of a tapestry or a textile that had radial symmetry. So we took a look at that last week, and today we are going to take our folded papers that we started working on last week, and we're going to create a radial design with those on paper. So if you got a kit from us, you should have had all the colored paper you need, as well as the paper that we're going to be using for the background today. And if you are using supplies that you have at home, then you can use really any color paper for your background. We're going to be using white paper in my example for our background today. We still have a few people joining in with us. Anybody who's coming in, just kind of welcome, first of all. And remember that I have everybody muted. So if you have questions, you'll be able to ask those at the end. So last week, I'm going to share my screen with you for just a moment and show you this paper. And I sent this out in an email, but I also dropped it into the chat box last week. So I just want to share this paper with you. If you remember, we practiced 3 different types of folds last week. We practiced the hat fold, the kite fold, and the samurai fold. So last week we practiced 3 different types of folds, and I showed you how to do all of those folds. Now I'm going to stop sharing. I'll drop this file in the chat box again today, just in case anybody needs it. So I'll drop that in the box in just a few minutes in the chat box. So this was our guide for folding our papers. Now I'm going to go ahead now and share my screen that is looking at my desktop so you can see what we're going to be working on today. It's a little crazy here today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully that's going to show up nice and easy. Okay, so we're going to be working from these supplies today. Give me just a second. I'm going to get this zoomed in so you can see real clearly. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a bit so you can see more clearly. And I'm going to go ahead and lock that. All right, great deal. Okay, guys, so to start today, we're going to need a few supplies. You're going to need a sheet of paper that is 8.5 by 11, so that, or 9 by 12, just a rectangular piece of paper. And we're going to start out by turning this piece of paper into a perfect square. Now, the way that we do that is by taking one corner of our rectangular paper, just any corner, and you're going to fold it up so that you have a flat edge right along here. So I want to match my corner up with the paper up here, line it up nice and clean, and I want, this should be a point on this side, a nice clean point, and it should be perfectly level right along this edge. And I'm just going to make a crease in my paper. Now, if we were to cut this little section off right here, then that would give us a perfect square. So you can see in this one, I have drawn a line right there. Just use my pencil to draw a line down, and that just helps me when I'm cutting. You could do this too. Just draw a little line straight down that fold and open it up. And you're going to cut along that line. So you're going to need a pair of scissors to do this. So these are just some scissors I had at my desk, but if you got a kit from us, you did have a pair of scissors in the kit. So please use those scissors or whatever scissors you have at the house. And you're going to just cut right along that line, just like that. And now I can set this to the side. I could save it to use it for something else. And now I have a perfect square. So again, for those of you who are just kind of joining us as you're coming in, you started out with a rectangular sheet of paper. You're going to take one corner and you're going to fold it up to match so that it's a straight edge all along up here. You don't want it to overlap at all like this or like that. You want it to be exactly even along that edge. Give it a crease, and then you just draw a line. Draw your line, and then you just cut that off. And that'll give you an exact square sheet of paper. So that is, you can practice this if you have some scrap paper. You can practice this if you don't want to practice it on your final paper. What we're making right now is going to be the background that we're going to glue everything to. So you want to try to make sure that you know how to get this nice square sheet of paper for your background. Now I have one here, that one I just made, and it already has a crease in it that goes diagonally. And I want to make a few more creases in my paper that are going to help me figure out exactly where the middle of my paper is. And it will help me when I'm gluing the folded pieces of paper that I've created. And I'm going to show you some examples of that as we go here today. So I want to start out by folding in the other direction diagonally. So I already have, if I fold up to the right-hand side, I already have this diagonal fold. So I'm going to open it up, and now I'm going to fold to the left-hand diagonal fold. I'm going to match up my corners. Make sure you're matching your corners nice and clean. And then I'm just going to crease. And you should have pretty decent pointy corners. If it's not exactly perfectly pointy at the ends, that's okay, but it should be pretty close. Again, you want to make sure that your corners match up. You don't want your corners like this or like this. You want to make sure that they match up nice and clean. Okay? I am going to, okay. All right. So now I have kind of folds that look a little bit like an X on my paper. I'm going to make 2 more folds today to get, to help me sort of know exactly where my designs go. I'm going to fold from the bottom up and match both corners at the top. So I'm folding into a rectangle, just folding it exactly in half. Remember to match up those corners to get a really precise fold. Open that back up. That should give you a horizontal line. So now I have, all I did was fold from the bottom straight up, just like that, to get a good fold there. Okay, I'm gonna open that back up. And then I'm gonna fold over to the left, or I could fold to the right, either direction that's more comfortable for you, but I'm gonna fold it in half this way. Again, I'm matching my corners. Make sure to match those corners. That gives you really exact, precise folds. And press it down good. And when you open it up, you should have a line going up and down, a line going side to side, a diagonal line going down to the right, and a diagonal line going down to the left. So that's all the folds that you should have. I know it's a little tricky to see those folds very well, but you should be able to see We folded up and down. We folded so that we have a good side to side line. We folded diagonally this way, and we folded diagonally that way and opened it up. Okay, now the great thing about this is this kind of gives us a center point. If you look, you should be able to see a point in the middle where all of your lines meet. I made a little dot there just to make that really easy to see. So I made that made it a little easier to see by putting a dot there, and you can do that if you want to, but you don't have to. When you're doing this at home, you're going to be able to see these crease lines a little bit better than you can see them on the camera. Now, I want to gather up the papers that I've folded, and I made a bunch of them. I made more than I probably can use. These are all samurai folds. Now, I want to just review with you just for a second. I'm going to set my background paper over to the side and review with you. You'll remember last week that we cut our paper into 3-inch squares. To make the kite fold, we turned our paper so that it had a point facing up, kind of like a diamond shape. And we folded, first we folded it in half, and we opened it up. So we had that straight line down the center. We folded this corner over, just like that, and this one over to the center like that, so that it looks like a kite. So that was our kite fold. And I folded a bunch of these just so that I would have a lot to show you with today, some different design pattern ideas. So I folded probably more than you have, which is just fine. I just wanted to have a lot of options to show you some different things you could do. So I've got a bunch of different kite folds. We also folded a hat fold. So we had that 3-inch square paper. We folded it in half and creased it. Then we folded one corner down like that and the other corner down like this. And we got a hat. Could hear us. Okay, so again, let's go back to the hat fold. Here we are with the hat fold. We had it as a square. We folded that in half. We folded this like this to get the hat. Okay, so that is our hat fold. I'm gonna pull this up. Okay. All right, and then our samurai fold. That was the trickiest one of all, but we'll do that together really quickly. We folded it in half, and then we folded it diagonally, and then diagonally again, just like that. And if you'll remember, we kind of pushed in those edges so that we would get something that looked like this. It's a triangle. From the top, it looks like this. From the bottom, it looks like this. And we went through this in detail last week. So if you're confused about how to get this, go back and watch last week's video again. And then we folded one flap down toward the center and another flap down toward the center to get our samurai fold. All right. So, hold on, we have a friend joining us now. All right. Okay, so now, I'm sorry. I'm trying to manage people coming in and explain everything to you guys today. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding these to our paper to create a design with radial symmetry. Now, last week we talked about radial symmetry as being a design that could be divided in half in multiple areas that were symmetrical no matter which way it was divided. So no matter which way it was divided, that's the way you should be able to divide it and it be exactly the same on both sides. Now what we're going to do now is take these folded papers that we've created and we're going to add them to our paper. Now you'll notice we are going to be using glue for this activity. I'm going to be using a glue stick just like this was in your kit if you got a kit from us. So you can use a glue stick. You can also use just white glue that you have at home. It doesn't matter what kind of glue you're using, just any glue that you can get your hands on. But I don't want to glue anything yet. I want to spend a little time arranging my design to find a way that I really like the way it looks. So I could arrange these kite folds like this. And again, remember, if we're trying to find radial symmetry, we're trying to make sure our design has radial symmetry, we have to be able to divide it and it have a line of symmetry in multiple directions. So if we were to divide it in half this way, it's the same on the left as on the right. If we were divided in half this way, it's the same on the bottom left as on the top right. If we were to divide it in half this way, it's the same on the top as it is on the bottom. So that is exactly what you're going to do. You want it to be the same all the way around. Hold on one second. I have a question really quickly I need to respond to. Okay. All right. There we go. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties on a few people's end here today. Okay, so you're just going to arrange your papers around all the way around your paper. So I could do my kite folds like this. I could also do my kite folds like this. I could turn it around and do it the other way. Now this way, for example, I would have enough room to put something else in there. So I could add maybe another kite fold. I could go make a pattern, blue, red, like that. Something like that. Just create a pattern. Or I could use something completely different. I could start in the center with my samurai folds. But remember, we want it to be radial symmetry. We want it to be the same all the way around, which means that we do not want to have, for example, a samurai fold here and a hat fold here, because it would not be the same all the way around. We've got some more friends joining here today. Okay, so you're just going to kind of play with the shapes and designs that you have. Think about how you can add your hat folds, your samurai folds. This is an example that I've already glued down, and I'm just going to show you what I did here. I used kite folds alternating all the way around, and then I added to the inside my hat folds and my samurai folds. So what you're going to do with your paper, and these folds will help you kind of keep everything lined up. What you're going to do so I'm going to go ahead and start gluing some things down so that you guys can see what we're doing. I feel like I've not been a very clear presenter today because of some of the technical difficulties. So let's kind of go back. And I'm going to just add some glue to the back of this. Now you'll notice I did not glue down this portion that's sticking up because I really want to continue to have that relief. I want it to poke up off the paper. That's what's going to make it look three-dimensional. So I'm only putting glue on the back, okay? Only putting glue on the back. All right, there we go. And again, that should look similar. And I'm gonna make it the same all the way around. I'm gonna add the same color all the way around so that I know that I have radial symmetry, a design with radial symmetry. So I'm gonna add first this right here. Okay, now those are my samurai folds and I've added them to the center. Now the next thing I want to add, I have lots more samurai folds, but I think I want to add some hat folds to this design. So what I'm going to do is take my hat folds and I'm actually going to kind of glue it inside a little bit. I'm not going to put it to the very outside of this, although you could if you wanted to. I'm going to glue it in a little bit, just like that, which is going to give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some glue to the back only, not to the front or to the other edges. And I'm just going to glue that down, just like that. Okay, I kind of like how that lines up right there. That was an accident, but I like the way that that works. So I think I'll make sure that that happens on all the other sculptures that I create here. All the other hat folds that I put into my samurai fold. Just press that down and make sure they line up. Remember, I'm not gluing any of that down. I'm only putting glue on the part that's sticking to the white paper. Just like that. Okay. And I'm just going to keep going with this all the way around until I have added glue and attached all the way around, just like that. Now that I've done that, I can go in and decide if I want to add something to these edges. Like maybe I want to add my kite fold in right here, or maybe I want to use another samurai fold around the outside. Could go like that. But remember, whatever we do, we're going to do that all the way around so that it matches. We're creating that radial symmetry all the way around. So we could do like that. I could also put this all the way down in there, just like that, to create an interesting pattern. So you may want to decide, what your center is going to be and go ahead and glue that down. You'll notice I'm not gluing any of these down yet because I kind of want to just practice and arrange them and see to see what arrangement I want to have. So someone asked, what do we glue down to? You're gluing your colorful papers, you're gluing your folded papers down to this white square that we made. So if you remember the beginning today, we took a sheet of paper. It was just a normal 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We folded it to get a perfect square. We cut off this little edge, and then we folded it in a bunch of different directions like that, so that it divided everything up and it met at a point in the center. This is our background paper that we're gluing to. So you're gluing onto this background paper. You can see here, this is my background paper. And I'm actually using all those little folds that I made to help me line things up. So when I put this right here, for example, it's exactly on the line that I folded. So all those fold lines are just kind of like guidelines that help me keep things really even and centered. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. If I did not explain that well, I'm very sorry. So you're gluing down to your white piece of paper that we cut into a square and then we folded. And all those folds that we made are guidelines to help us make sure that this is, that it's staying a design that has radial symmetry. Okay, so I'm going to go back to what I have here, and I'm just going to keep doing this. And I just want to kind of play around with different ways to create patterns and designs. I think I really like the way that looks by alternating the samurai fold and then the hat fold, and then again the samurai fold here. I like how much texture that gives me. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down because I like the way that looks. So I'm just going to come in here and glue that in. And again, remember, I'm not gluing these parts together. I'm only putting glue on the back. I'm only putting glue on the back, and I'm gluing it down to my background paper. And I did put it inside of my hat fold a little bit, like that. So this one's not glued down yet. I'm going to flip it over to the back, put some glue on it, and put that inside. All right. Press it down. And one more. One more. All right, guys. Okay, so there we go. And so now those are all attached. You see they're not falling off at all. And you can see how much depth I get with this pattern. You can see that I have lots of those little areas that I folded kind of sticking up off the base of the paper, creating that fun design. So again, I could come in and I could add my kite folds in here, or I might want to add them off the edges here. I could add maybe a hat fold here, going this direction, and then something on to the outside of that. I could also put these together this way. I could put them facing that way, and then I could do it the same direction all the way around. So it's pointing this way. I have to imagine if it's going to drive around the circle and go here. And then if it were going to drive around the circle and go here. So I could do that to create a design with radial symmetry that way. So you're just going to continue, just like I'm doing here, to continue to play with these different folds of paper that you've created. I really want to put something on these edges. I'm just not sure what yet, or how I want it to look. Maybe something like this. I think I'll put my red inside there. So before you glue anything down, try it out and see what you like, because you may change your mind a few times before you make a final decision. And once you've glued it down, it's pretty difficult to move. So once you've glued it down, can't really pick it up and move it somewhere else. It's pretty much stuck where you put it. So you're just going to continue this process until you've either filled your whole paper, or until you're really happy with the design that you've created, or until you have run out of folded papers. So I could keep adding here to my design. I think I would like those to be purple, and I'm going to put that all the way inside. You can see how that can just sit right inside there, still have that nice hat fold, and I can still add the kite fold to the outside of that. So something like that. And I'm just going to keep adding to it. And once I run out of papers, if I don't have any more paper that I could fold, then I'm all done. Or if I do have some extra paper and I feel like I might want to add a few more designs, a few more kite folds, samurai folds, or hat folds, then I could always cut some more 3-inch squares and glue them down to my design. But the key here is, the one thing we really want to make sure we're doing is that we're keeping this a design that uses radial symmetry. So if we were to divide our design in half down the middle this way, the left half is exactly the same as the right half. If we were to divide it down the center, top to bottom, the top is exactly the same as the bottom. If we were to divide it in half diagonally, the left half is the same as the right half. And if we were to go diagonally in the other direction, the left half is the same as the right half. So it's very important that you're making it the same all the way around to keep up your design with radial symmetry. So again, I could keep adding things, or if I get to a point where I'm happy with what I've added, that I could stop. Now, I'm going to stop here for now, not because my design is finished, but just because I want to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions, especially because we've had so many technical difficulties today, and I want to make sure that everybody is completely clear on exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and say for the people that are going to be watching the recording, the video is going to end now. And if you have questions, then you can certainly email me those questions. Don't forget, and for those of you who are meeting live with me, hang on in the meeting for now. But for those of you who are watching by video, or those that are watching live, don't forget that you need to take a good photograph of your finished artwork and email that to me so that your artwork can be included in our exhibition, our online exhibition of student work that will be happening in January. So someone had a question about how many things they need to glue down. Glue down all the ones that you have, or until your paper is full. So for example, this one right here, I really probably couldn't fit anymore on this paper, even if I wanted to. This one, I could still fit some more, but if I'm out of shapes that I have folded, then I don't need to glue any more down. Or if you get them on your paper and you are happy with the way it looks, if you've created a design that you're happy with, you can stop right there. You don't have to keep going once you feel like your artwork is finished. So I would say glue down as many as you can to get to the design, to a finished design that you really like. I'm going to keep adding to this one. I'm probably going to add a few more shapes in here. I might even add another one in the corner here. The more you add, you can tell kind of like this. The more you add, the more it sort of pops up off the page. So just remember that. There's no set number that you have to add, but you do want to try to get as many on there as you can to create a really vibrant and exciting design. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop the recording now. If you're watching live with me and you have questions, please hang on, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to have questions. Otherwise, I'll see you later.